morning, everyone. I now invite you to stand for the singing of the national anthem, and this will be followed by opening prayer by Reverend Keynote, Michael Ellis.
Let us pray. Gracious God, giver of every good gift, we thank you for the gift of this day you have given to us. We thank you for the gift of this moment, a moment in time that we celebrate your continued goodness to us as an institution, to us as a nation. We thank you for the gift of our guest speaker and all that he brings to share with us. Thank you for his own impact on our nation. We thank you, Lord, for the gift of the students, staff, and all stakeholders of this institution. And as we continue to celebrate your goodness to us through our founding fathers, grant that this moment in time may be one that is etched in our memories, our hearts, and our minds as we remember Bishop Vaughn. Grant that this time would honor you and edify each of us, your people, and all to your glory and honor, as we pray in the name of Jesus, who taught us to pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Welcome to our guest speaker, specially invited guests, my esteemed colleagues, students. I greet you well. George Bernard Shaw, a world-famous Irish playwright, critic, once joked, a fool's brain digests philosophy into folly and art into pedantry, hence university education. Deep, isn't it? Let me simplify it for you. He's saying here that if you give someone who can't think for themselves big, important ideas, they will just turn them into nonsense. My philosophy students, please take note. He's saying that often universities don't teach they don't teach you how to think. They just teach you how to follow rules perfectly, but create nothing new. Dr. Anderson, don't kill me. If we just sit here and memorize foreign books without using our brains, we are just educated fools. You agree with Sean? Say it quietly. Looking around the room, we're in a formal setting, sitting in neat rows, waiting for a source of truth to speak. And the source of truth in this case is Mr. Vivian Crawford, who you will be formally introduced to later on. If this all feels a bit stiff and proper, well, that's the first thing we're here to unlearn. We are literally sitting inside the colonial blueprint right now. Today's theme is decolonizing the mind for future innovation, post-colonial excellence. In other words, we are here to stop trying to fit our Caribbean round peg brilliance into someone else's square peg systems. We have spent too long trying to reach global standards when we should be setting them from right here. Agreed? Come on, not true. Yes. We're not here for the folly or the fancy words. We are here to talk about the kind of innovation that happens when we stop asking a 200-year-old map for directions to the future. This lecture will help us hit factory reset on our thinking and start building our own world. With that said, I'm going to invite our principal, Dr. Garth Anderson, to give a welcome, followed by an overview of the lecture by Dr. Janet Singh, Vice Principal.
Our keynote speaker, Dr. Vivian Crawford, members of the Board of Management, faculty members, guests, scholars and students, and I want to especially recognize Mrs. Reed, wife of past Bishop of Jamaica, Bishop Reed, and her daughter, Miss Reed, is a past student of the college, and those who went to Hampton School should know. I'm told that if you go to Hampton and don't know Miss Reed, something is wrong, you weren't there. So I want to also welcome past chaplain, I almost said Bishop Vaughn, Reverend Vaughn, friends and well-wishers. Good morning. On behalf of the academic community of Church Teachers College, it is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to the Bishop Benjamin Vaughan Open Lecture. This important scholarly engagement, anchored in the compelling theme, decolonizing the mind for future innovation, post-colonial excellence, invites us into a rigorous space of critical reflection, intellectual interrogation, and transformative academic discourse. It is through forums such as these that higher education fulfills its fundamental purpose, not merely to transmit knowledge, but to question its origin, interrogate its assumption, and expand its possibilities. We are especially honored to recognize Bishop Benjamin Vaughan, whose distinguished leadership, spiritual wisdom, and enduring commitment to education and nation building have profoundly influenced both ecclesiastical and the academic communities. This lecture, named in his honor, symbolizes the powerful intersection of moral vision, intellectual pursuit, and social responsibility. It reflects the enduring belief that education must not only inform the mind, but also it should liberate the mind. Within this context, education becomes an instrument of intellectual emancipation. As educators and scholars in post-colonial society, we are called to cultivate critical consciousness, foster independent thought, and empower learners to become producers, not merely consumers of knowledge. Intellectual sovereignty enables us and our students to engage global challenges with confidence, creativity, and authenticity, grounded firmly in their cultural identity and social realities. I think the challenge, I hope the guest speaker will not have, is to explain what is our cultural identity. I encourage each of us to listen attentively, thoughtfully, and to reflect critically. May this lecture deepen our understanding, challenge our assumptions, and inspire continued commitment to the ongoing work of decolonizing education for the advancement of our nation and the wider world in which we live. Welcome, and may this be a most enriching and intellectually rewarding experience for all of us participating. Thank you.
Esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Vivian Crawford, Reverend Elliott, Reverend Vaughn, Mrs. Reed, Ms. Reed, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, students, online viewers, good morning. It is with great respect that I present the overview for the Bishop Vaughan Open Lecture here at Church Teachers College. This annual event serves as a heartfelt tribute to the impactful life and profound contributions of Bishop Benjamin Noel Young Vaughn, affectionately known to many as Binny Vaughn. His legacy as a leader, educator, and advocate for social justice continues to inspire us, and today we gather to honor that legacy through robust discussions and thoughtful engagement. This year, we embrace the theme, Decolonizing the Mind for Future Innovation, Post-Colonial Excellence. This theme invites us to critically examine our perspectives and practices, encouraging a shift towards innovative thinking that respects and incorporates diverse cultural narratives. The vision of the Benjamin Vaughan Open Lecture is to create a dynamic platform for intellectual engagement. Our goals are clear. We aim to encourage critical thinking and innovative ideas that address the contemporary challenges we face. The speaker we have invited today is a thought leader in his field, and I'm excited for the insights he will share, particularly in relation to our theme of decolonization and innovation. This lecture is not just an event. It is an opportunity to build a sense of community among us. Let us encourage collaboration and dialogue as we collectively shape a brighter future for all, informed by the principles of post-colonial excellence. Today, let us remember that the Benjamin Vaughan Open Lecture is more than just a platform for discussion. It is a call to action. It is an invitation to each of us to become transformative leaders within our communities, embodying the principles of excellence, compassion, and faith that Bishop Vaughan championed throughout his life. I encourage you all to engage fully, ask questions, and share thoughts. Together, let us honor Bishop Vaughan's legacy by nurturing excellence and igniting minds, ensuring that we shape a future that reflects the values he held dear, particularly through the lens of our theme. Thank you all for being here today, and let us look forward to an inspiring and enlightening lecture.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, for such a warm and comprehensive welcome, and Dr. Singh for such an enlightening overview of the lecture. At this time, I'm going to invite the Church Teachers College Choir to give an item, and this will be followed by Mr. Everton Clark, Senior Lecturer, with the introduction of our speaker for today.
esteemed pleasure to be introducing our guest speaker, keynote speaker for today. Vivian Crawford was Executive Director at the Institute of Jamaica and Secretary to Council for 20 years. His career includes education, finance, and heritage. He was Pro-Chancellor at the University of Technology, Jamaica, where he was Chairman of the Council and was a former Honorary Treasurer. Mr. Crawford holds a Bachelor of Science in Economics from the University of West Indies, a teaching diploma from the Michael University College, and a Master of Business Administration from Nova Southern University. He was inducted by the Governor General as a Fellow of the Jamaica Institute of Management. He is recipient of the main prize for music from the Michael University College, the University of the West Indies, and Trinity College of Music, London. He retired as one of the organists in the University Chapel of West Indies in 2023 after 55 years, but continues playing at the Church of the Good Shepherd in Constant Spring. At the Institute of Jamaica, he had responsibilities for the 5 divisions and served on all 5 boards. The Institute of Jamaica, under his watch, witnessed the restoration of Liberty Hall, the legacy of Marcus Garvey, as well as the implementation of sites of memory programming, commemorating outstanding records of our history through the installation of plaques, such as Old King's House, Spanish Town, where the Act for the Abolition of Slavery was read. The last house in Jamaica where Marcus Garvey lived, the childhood home of perhaps Jamaica's most famous nurse, Mary Seacole, as well as Carmel Church in Westmoreland, in recognition of the introduction of free elementary education to the enslaved by the Moravians. The Institute of Jamaica, with Mrs. Lisa Whiteman Harrison as facilitator, established the Michael University Museum of Education. Mr. Crawford is a member of the Memory of the World Committee of UNESCO and a former member of the Groups of Experts on Financial and Administrative Matters Committee of UNESCO Paris, and served as chairman of the Culture Committee for the Planning Institute of Jamaica 2030 Vision. He has served on the boards of some 20 private and public sector organizations. His awards include the National Honor, Governor General Achievement Award, the Gleaner Award for Heritage, the Editorial Recognition for Heritage Contribution by the Gleaner and the Observer newspapers, the Faculty of Social Sciences, University of West Indies Hall of Fame, the Caribbean Community of Retired Persons Living Legend 2011, and the Dion Jackson Miller Living Legend Interview 2012. In 2011, he was invited by the Speaker of the British House of Commons as guest in the Strangers Gallery for Question Time. He is a recipient of the Institute of Jamaica's Musgrave Gold Medal, the Michael Old Students Association Gold Medal, and an honorary degree from the university. His public presentations include the Grace Kennedy Foundation Lecture. Inaugural lectures include Ted Dwyer excels at Community College, Dr. Olive Lewin Institute of Jamaica, Danny of the Maroons in Japan in 2019. He has acted in 2 major international films by Roy Anderson Production. He currently speaks on RJR Group Weekly, as well as fortnightly at Sax Radio, South Africa. He's married to Carver and the daughter of 2 children. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Vivian Crawford. Please make him welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Am I speaking too softly? No, sir. I want to thank Mr. Clark for his very kind introduction and want to ask him if he will be my campaign manager in the next election. Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us and be glad in it. So I ask you to stand if you can, and let us sing Press Along Saints, and please move around. We will sing it twice.
Press along, saints, press along, in God's own way.
I'll say a good morning again, ladies and gentlemen. And Madam Moderator, this is Nadine Newman, JP, member of staff, members of the Board of Church Teachers College, including Reverend Canon Michael Elliott, Vice Chairman of the Board of Management and Rector Mandeville Parish Church, Reverend Hilda Vaughan, Goshen, St. Matthew's Secure, etc., etc. Dr. Garth Anderson, Principal, members of staff, including Dr. Janet Singh, Mr. Everton Clark, members of the student body, including Ms. Rihanna Reed, Year 4 batch rep, performers, members of the media, guests including Mrs. Gloria Reed, JP, widow of Bishop the Honorable Dr. Alfred Reed, and Miss Annette Reed, daughter, alumna of this college, Mr. Patrick Nelson, Dean Representative, the Church of the Good Shepherd, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, my sincere thanks and deep appreciation to the Church Teachers College for your kind invitation to this Bishop Benjamin Vaughan Open Lecture. And I want to thank Directors Ms. Nadine Newman and Mr. Everton Clark for their arrangements. principal, I want to identify them. I'll vote for them in the next election. And I have to sort out 2 seats for them. They were fantastic in their arrangements, and I'm indebted to you. Thank you very much. Believe it or not, in 1961, a group of us came to this very space. It was called the vocation of the ministry, where the Anglican Church was encouraging some of us to become pastors. I didn't make the grade, let me say that up front. But in that group, some of those names you might know. There's Austin Vernon from Albertown, Mr. Ernie Gordon, Reverend Canon Ernie Gordon. He had graduated from Jamaica School of Agriculture. And then from Jamaica College, Robert Thompson, later Bishop, Robert Thompson, and Roderick Banks, who was from St. Elizabeth. But he became a member of the Rastafarian religion. As you know, that's the world's latest religion, came from Jamaica. And also, Bishop Peter Vaughan, he became a member of another religious organization. And Bishop Vaughn presided at our discussion. And on that, I'll never forget the morning when he invited us and shared with us his plans for this institution. Where God guides, he provides. God is good. Faith is to believe what we do not see, and the reward of that faith is to see what we believe. Thank you, Jesus. Heartiest congratulations to the board of directors, including Dr. Anderson, the staff, students, the entire administration, for your continuity of purpose. And never can it be said that you have been singing as a college, standing on the promises of Christ the King and sitting on the fence. You are leaders, and according to the Sudanese proverb, if you think you are a leader and do not have followers, you are merely taking a walk. Church Teachers College, you know where you are going, because according to Yogi Berra, if you do not know where you are going, you might end up somewhere else. And so I want to begin the presentation, and I'm allowed to sit, and I'm going to ask you, please, have your questions, your comments, and your observations ready. If I do not know the answers, you will provide the answers, because you're also experts. So we're on the screen, decolonizing the mind. Oh. What is decolonizing? In a nutshell, larger than a peanut, it is the process by which foreign colonies of imperial nations which dominated then seek their own vision and mission. So you were dominated, and now you are seeking your own vision and mission. And remember that vision comes before mission, because if you do not know where you are going, any road can be taken. And the tragedy sometimes is that there is the mission, but there is no vision. Remember, the objectives of the colonial past were inconsistent with the strategic outcome of the vanquished. The mission must avoid neo-colonialism. That is, there is a formal end to the colonial past. But sadly, the infrastructure is still in place to facilitate the colonials. They leave what they don't leave. Example one, I recall when there were only 4 local principals of high schools in Jamaica. There were only 4 Jamaicans who were principals of high school. And I'm young enough to remember that. And I knew all of these principals. Bishop Gibson, Kingston College, Mr. Powell, Excelsior High School, Mrs. Speed, Merle Grove High School, and Mr. C.L. Stewart, Clarendon College. And then this morning, I thought, BA, I am young enough to know there was a time when there were only 3 Jamaicans, descendants of enslaved Africans, who had BA degree. 3. I knew the 3. Bishop Gibson, Monsignor Gladstone Wilson, and Sir Philip Sherlock. And they were all taken externally. How did we get there? Although enslavement was abolished, personnel from Britain held power. The Jamaica Constabulary Force was established in 1867. 1867. The first Jamaican Commissioner of Police, Basil Linton Robinson, from Harwich, Manchester, was appointed 106 years later, 1973. Remember that although we are out of many one people, 90% of Jamaicans are descendants of enslaved Africans. And a frightening story, never shared in my education project, was the shock of a family who went to the field in Africa, far away, left the children at home, and the children were captured, taken to the West to work on plantation, and a similar fate would happen to their parents, never to meet again. I get very emotional every time I have to say what I'm going to say. Alex Renton, 2 years ago, published a book called Blood Legacy. And I hope you are taking notes, because every Jamaican should read it, an Englishman. Europeans justified enslavement by stating that enslaved Africans were half human and half animal. Europeans justified enslavement by saying that Africans were half human and half animal. When I heard it, then I bawled, I cried. And here am I bawling this morning because it hurt me. Alex Renton sent a copy of the book to me. It took 11 months to reach me, but it reached. And I have a copy. In that book, you will read and treat it as a Christmas gift about a place called Roselle in St. Thomas. When you're passing, you always see people trying to get a swim. It's what you call it, actually. And at White Horses. White Horses is so called because of the waves that look like horses. But seriously, Roselle, 76 enslaved Africans, and that's in the Guardian newspaper of the 5th of July, 2023. 76 enslaved Africans transformed scrap iron into wrought iron. And because they were regarded as goods, not human beings, the British iron master, Henry Court from Bristol, he claimed the copyright. And that invention by these enslaved Africans, that's what you read about in the Industrial Revolution. And when you go to England today, St. Pancras railway station and Kew Gardens, botanical gardens, all outcome of that. Our own Jamaican professor, Sir Geoffrey Palmer, first black professor in Scotland, from Malvern nearby, said about slavery, those who carried out the most profitable evil in the world as known. The most profitable evil. Let me start at the beginning. Right Excellent Marcus Messiah Garvey said, a people without the knowledge, did you learn this in school? Well, say it with me. A people without the knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. President, and we see that quite a number of students will have to go to your office because they don't know this. And this is a statement I want to guide our discourse towards decolonizing. Know from where you are coming. Know from where you are coming. Let's say that together, class. Know from where you are coming. Know from where you are coming. Karl Marx said, if you tear a nation, that's a German philosopher, if you tear a nation away from its heritage, you can make it into the shape you want. Sir Thomas Fowell Buxton, in a speech to the British Parliament on the 15th of May, 1823 said, the slave sees his mother, the mother of his children, stripped naked and flogged unmercifully. He sees his children sent to market to be sold at the best price they will fetch. He sees himself not as a man, but a thing, an implement of husbandry, a machine, and produce sugar as a beast of burden. Most Honorable Michael Manley. And I just saw that in the Gleaner last week, where someone wrote about this, to say that the enslavement of the body that endured till 1838 was nothing to the enslavement of the mind that endured since. And that's why we're having this discussion today. Our enslaved Jamaican story. We go to that next. So what is our enslaved Jamaican story? In summary, Professor Hilary Beckles, Vice Chancellor of the University of the West Indies, said, quote, Jamaica was the Caribbean's largest slave market. Britain imported to Jamaica 1.3 million enslaved beginning in the 1660s. At the end of enslavement in 1838, there were 300,000 remaining. Slavery, therefore, in Jamaica was genocidal. Genocide. You know, therefore, why Martin Luther King Jr. wrote a book, Why We Can't Wait. And congrats to Church Teachers College for echoing that. We can't wait. We have to sort it out. At the end of enslavement in 1838, as you are aware, the planters received 20 million pounds. What did the enslaved get? Nothing. 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 Let me pause to offer thanks to God, to the Moravian missionaries from Carmel, the Foster Brothers, then, now in Westmoreland, then in St. Elizabeth. In 1753, they invited missionaries to Jamaica to teach literacy and started school at Rose Corner near Alligator Pond, St. Elizabeth, and built the first primary school challenge in Litties, St. Elizabeth, Vaughan, and Wattle. And what the Moravians, they did something more. They built a tank, a community tank for all to come and benefit. We thank God for the missionaries who built the free villages, including Reverend James Filippo from Filippo Baptist Church in Spanish Town. He spent £50 in lending the money to our ancestors to acquire lots. And you know, I have on the place slide of him because he loaned the £50, got £2, they buy lots. And they start a little village. And we then name the place after the governor Sligo Hill. Have them up. Still have them up. That should not be. And when Reverend Filippo came to Jamaica, he did not get a license to preach. He had to preach undercover. I'm saying all of this because if you do not know where you are coming from, you can't decolonize. You have to know why you are decolonized. Page 4. Free on paper, enslaved in the mind. And this is your invitation to me. Education. How many of you heard the Clerk of Parliament at the official opening reading in the Declaration in the name of King Charles III? When the Parliament was called to order and the Declaration read, there's only 2 persons in this church, sorry, St. Matthias? No, you could not have seen it because you were on the job. You couldn't have heard it. She ended by saying, King Charles III. Then I wrapped the brain and said, but didn't we get independence in 62? All right. Then, if I thought that wasn't enough, I said, well, stop. There's an advertisement asking for support for Melissa. And the accompanying music is the tune of a British national song. Na 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 na. Help me. Na 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 na. Na na na. Na na. All right. Yeah. Same whistle. That is what is used in 2026 to accompany a television advertisement to help the victims of Melissa. So I am asking rhetorically, what has happened? No, before I reach that. I attended the Independence concert at the State Theatre in Kingston. It is now an Aberdeen store. In 1962. And when I left the theatre, I had flu for 2 weeks. And when I examined the situation, I said, why did I have flu? You know why? This concert was 2.5 hours, and only one item was about Jamaica. One big item. School challenge, will you guess what that item was? What do you think it was? National anthem. Oh, you're right. Yeah. That's why you're a pioneer. Everything else, Mr. Clark, was about the bluebells of Scotland and flow gently sweet up. Nothing. That has changed now, thank God. Because I heard this morning, Noel Dexter and Paul and Pauline, yes, Pauline, they wrote that communion setting And I never forget it's fortuitous because that was introduced to us by Bishop Creed. Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord. We have come a long way. We have come a long way. But I am saying that the music for our national song is that very tune we just sung. The music for it is the tune we just sung. And so, Dr. Anderson, I know you give instructions to your director of music to say, stop it, stop it. So we expect Church Teachers College to give an alternative to the tune of the national song, because that tune does not belong to us. And I look forward, all of us, when that will be unveiled and performed in this space. You're so nervous that you can't keep that applaud. I am giving notice that we need to have some of the schools in Manchester at that performance, invite them, and have a mass choir of the new song. Now, at the installation service of Bishop Rhodes Hudson Wilkin, our old Jamaica, it was performed at Canterbury Cathedral in 2019. It was consecrated at St. Paul's Cathedral. But installation for our Bishop of Dover was at Canterbury Cathedral in 2019. Same Canterbury that you are teaching them about the pilgrims. Chaucer's Canterbury Pilgrims. They went here. That's where. And guess what was performed there? Peter Tosh, Jah is. Dr. God, you sing very well. Right. That's a paraphrase of Psalm 27. My generation was taught that the standard to guide me was British, and the Jamaican language was regarded as backward and inferior. A friend of mine told me how she was mercilessly flogged for speaking in the Jamaican language. So I told her, Rotty Mitchell, she was from Clarendon. So I told her I got away because Professor Rupert Lewis's mother was my elementary school teacher. And one day it was raining, as it always rained in Portland. And I ran inside the classroom and said, go and sipple out the bud. And she just tapped me on the shoulder and said, the word is slippery. I was so embarrassed, I held out my head. And then she said, she too said that word when she was a child and her brother corrected her. Wow, psychology. So, I am here to say, we were taught that the Jamaican language was backward and inferior. But thanks to UNESCO from Paris has to come and tell us, in 1999, by declaration, that children should be taught in their mother tongue, and February 21 every year is regarded as Mother Language Day. Thank God for the Jamaican. I said it in Mandeville some time ago, so I'm repeating it for those who were not at the function. A Jamaican went to Israel, and when he saw the Sea of Galilee and the boat, he wanted to go on the boat and reenact what Jesus did. So he asked the tour guide, how much you go on the boat? The tour guide said 70 euro. And the Jamaican man bawled out, 70 euro? Lord God, no wonder Jesus walked. I know we have been decolonizing education, but is civics, is it still under the bushel or under the barrel? Yes, somebody say yes. Thank you. The answers to the questions on school challenge quiz show for our culture, many participants have to go to Dr. Anderson's office. They don't know. And I will not be clarifying it here today. I will not be clarifying it today. Who wrote the words for the national anthem of Jamaica? Who wrote the music for the national anthem of Jamaica? I will not be clarifying it. I'm too upset. Are you aware that after emancipation, a small education grant was given, but children had to pay fees to go to primary school? And Manchesterian, anybody in this room from Manchester? Show you are from Manchester? Which district? Harmony? Oh, you reach Harmony, you go up so and go around so? Oh, okay. Well, listen, the number of goodies out of Manchester. Manchesterian, Wilfred Bailey, father of our own Honorable A.B. Bailey, and surprises coming later, and Senator Elsie Bailey, those who used to go to A.B.'s, Elsie Bailey's drugstore, careful, you misunderstand. You call it, what do you call it now? Pharmacy. Well, Mr. Bailey decolonized the educational system. He had a group, I met with teachers in his area at Mispa Primary School one Sunday afternoon and decided this foolishness must stop. And then he mobilized 100 teachers. The cathedral in Spanish Town, the church hall, were next to go there, Vaughan, and they formed the Jamaica Union of Teachers to discontinue the payment of fees. It is now the JTA. My grandmother told me, I'm young enough to tell you that. My grandmother used to pay fees. She told me to go to primary school. So I said, how much you pay? She said, penny, half penny. So I said, what could penny, half penny buy? A pound of beef. Yes. But we have decolonized because in 1948, Right Excellent Bustamante, Alexander Bustamante, we decolonized in 1948. His government approved 640 acres of land for the establishment of the University of the West Indies. That's not Jamaica's first university school challenge. Jamaica's first university was at Spanish Town, the old King's House, but it crashed in the 1870s. And because it crashed, the students from there and the students at Michael, who were then at what is now Kingston Technical High School and Hanover Street, they had to find space. So this is how you have Michael and Marasco Road school challenge. We also must give thanks to Right Excellent Norman Washington Manley, Manchesterian, who in 1957, he introduced the masses to go to secondary high schools. Before that, what happened? If the parents couldn't afford to pay, you got 2 scholarships per parish. Please. So in 1957, that cut out. So you go to high school and also teacher training college. I benefited from it. Because if I have to pay, it wouldn't be on. I was so moved I attended a funeral here in Manchester some years ago, and the lawyer was speaking about his father and said, said that the father, although he passed the local third year, he couldn't make it to the micro because the grandfather said, well, I could sell me one cow. Oh, the local third year was thank you, Dr. Anderson. The government of the day, the colonial government set up examinations for students. You pass first, second, and third year. But what were the jobs for you? If the jobs for you were not for you, you could enter the police force, you could enter teaching, yes. Postmistress, yes. But all the top jobs were for people from abroad. So you see how we have reached far with the decolonization. But I cannot close without mentioning Mandeville Parish Church. And Kenneth Elliott is there, holding the baton. In 1835, yes, I was there the very morning. In 1835, the Venerable True started writing letters, and it's a type, to be sent to England to help the 300,000 persons to be free, to be given an education. All the letters that went to England, only one human being responded. Sir Thomas Fowell Buxton identified funds, and Michael was established to train the teachers. Because they needed somebody to teach. Yes, that's how it goes. I hear somebody say, Lord, true. Government, we commend. Consequent to the labor unrest of the 1930s, the Moyne Commission was appointed by the colonial government, and serious recommendations were made, including freedom for labor unions. You didn't have trade unions. Before trade unions came in 1938, you work with somebody, and they decide not to pay you. You had no body to report to. And they sometimes say to you, I'm paying you X per day, take it or leave it. And so we have the establishment of the labor unions, the PNP and the JNP, leading up to independence. Remember what I said, what the Clerk of Parliament said? Since 1962, governments continue to have on their agenda constitutional reforms, especially to replace the monarchy and the UK Privy Council with a Caribbean Court of Justice. There is a reparation council in Jamaica, and the purpose of that council, it is, as it says, to seek reparation. I plead guilty. Interest, I'm a member of that reparation council. And there's a CARICOM 10-point plan with regard to compensation. And we are not only seeking to get back money, we are seeking also to get some of these stupid items, I didn't say stolen, which were removed from Jamaica. The items that were removed from Jamaica. Anyone in this room knows of a place they call Carpenter's Mountain? Never heard of it? I thought this is Manchester, because Carpenter's Mountain is in southern Manchester. And in 1790, it turned out I was there the morning, when some British surveyors saw the memorabilia of the Arawaks. Our Arawaks did not worship a God as we know. They carved out objects and said that's their God. And the largest object was known as Ya. And then they had lower objects they called Zemis. And they gave them fruits and flowers. and took them away. And when the National Museum, the British Museum was established, the objects were handed over to them. So we are saying that we want them. So it's bring them back. So we are seeking reparation. Now there are departments of government which are helping with decolonizing. The Jamal Foundation, literacy, because if you don't know literacy, you won't be able to understand. Then we have JCDC, everybody in this room, we know the church, we know about JCDC, to unearth, showcase, and promote, preserve our culture. Then there's Caribbean Conference of Churches, started years ago under Mr. Noel Dexter, Director of Music, and they diversified the music. And congratulations to your choir and director for that performance this morning. In my generation, as I said, we would be singing, "Where You Walk," and aquatic rhythm. Then, members, the Rastafarians. When they started in the 1930s in Clarendon, Crooked River, Mr. Leonard Howell. And they started because of the rejection. As I said, the Europeans said that, to go to church you have to put on waistcoat, hat, tie, all sort of thing. It is so hot, it's unbearable. So the Rastafarians, we owe them a debt of gratitude. They were looking elsewhere. And when Haile Selassie was crowned, they said, there you go. And the rest is history. Need I say that a lady who went to Miss Annette Reed's school, I have to pronounce it properly, it's Hampton. What do I say? It's Hampton, yes. After round up the mouth. But Miss Una Marson from Santa Cruz, she worked with Haile Selassie to the League of Nations. Yes, her father was the pastor at the Sharon Baptist Church there. Yes. So I'm saying about the Rastafarians that we owe a debt of gratitude to them, the world's latest religion, for their policy of separating from the colonial masters and to undertake what Sir Philip Sherlock and Professor Nettleford taught us, that we should be creators and not imitators. Homework is to list the way we need to decolonize. It includes the music, Bob Marley's One Love, Song of the Millennium by the BBC in 1999, and the album Excellence by the Time Magazine, Album of the Century, 1999. In 2018, UNESCO officially inscribed reggae music on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. We have to continue work on skin bleaching and also the jacket and tie for men. And Jamaican men abhor, we hate the word jacket. Please don't tell a Jamaican man about jacket. It is, we say coat. There's nothing wrong in wearing your coat. Because if you're going to a cold country, you need a coat. But you tell a Jamaican man that you have jacket, you don't do that. Incidentally, school challenge, so the word came about jacket. If you're black, parents are black. It happened. Where it happened? Yes, it happened. There were two black parents, yes, they were in China, and the baby turned out white. But they don't know. They had respect. They call the child a fufa. A fufa. So don't panic. A similar thing happened to the Chinese couple thought that I was christened something wrong. So I'm saying all of this to say, ladies and gentlemen, one of my pages. Oh yes, here it is. That we need to have more discourses about what we need to do, and you here in this college, you have begun the process. In conclusion, the charge to this college and to this generation is to continue the journey of decolonization with alacrity and aware of neo-colonialism, of people chipping in for you to change. William Wilberforce, the liberator, said, you can look the other way, but you cannot say you did not know. You can look the other way, but you cannot say you did not know. Our own Jamaican Professor Colin Chan said, our ancestors did not arrive through immigration, they came through customs because they were regarded as goods. But there's a TV ad which says, look at us now. So Teachers College, do what the stamp said to the envelope. That if we stick together, we can go places. Because the past is history, the future is a mystery, but the present is a gift. That is why it is called a gift. And as we commend the Rastafarian community for their decolonizing role, whenever I speak in Mandeville, I always speak about Timbuktu. I don't think some of you here know the story, but I've said it in Mandeville twice about decolonizing and Timbuktu. You perhaps heard that there was an international competition for a poem of 4 lines, and the last word should be Timbuktu. Timbuktu, as you know, is a place in West Africa, which had university long before Europe. So, international competition, poem of 4 lines. 2 were shortlisted. One, an international poet, and the other, a Jamaican Rastaman. You have to decide who you're going to give the prize to without prejudice. So I give you what they wrote, so that you can judge. The international poet wrote this. By the way, what is the word it should end with? Timbuktu. The international poet wrote, slowly across the desert sand, trekked a lowly caravan, men on camels 2 by 2. Their destination? Timbuktu. I hope you judge rightly, you know. Jamaican Rastaman wrote, me and Tim went down the road when 3 man tap we and 150 we load. They were 3 and we were 2. So I got 1 and Timbuktu. So I say to you all, better now. Let's take this time and sing better now. Whereas after 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Restaurant, sing, restaurant, in the those who are singing, those students, we're not throwing words at their tutors. Because we want the tutors to increase the marks. All right, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have questions, comments, observations. Please use the mic. Sorry. We're going to have an item. Let's hear what if the item is decolonized. Sir, for you it is. So have your questions ready, please? Human is asking me. I'm a confidential person. This human is asking me confidentially for want some water. But I didn't hear this. And since I've been sitting at that chocolate, what is the one? Is water or water? A water. I'm moving that chair. It's beside me.
Not the water.
It's the water. Can I do it? It's what? I'm an Anglican, I don't know. Thank you, Thank you. Cheers.
Mr. Crawford, I'm not giving you official rules of that. I'd like to say this. Thank you for such a powerful session, sir. I believe there's a specific kind of weight and grace in the way you tell your story. It's not just about dates and facts, it's about the spirit of a people. You have reminded us today that we aren't just drifting into the future or starting from scratch. We're building a foundation of survival, tactical genius, and a resilience that was forged in the hardest of times. Mr. Crawford, we truly appreciate your reasoning with us today with such truth and being a faithful custodian of the Jamaican soul. And as a Maroon, which I was informed of, you carry a very specific sovereign path in what you share. You have given us plenty to reflect on, and as we move forward, I think that's it. Yes, reflect on as we move forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please, another round of applause for the
Thank you. Questions now? You take the question, would you moderate that for us, please?
Yes, I'm going to invite persons who have questions.
Use the mic.
There's a mic.
Questions, comments, observations? What I cannot answer, Dr. Anderson will identify himself or which member of his staff.
So my question today is, I'm going to start with a lot of people have the misconception that reparation has to do with money alone. So my question is, how do we clearly define reparations? Is it only financial compensation, or does it also include educational, land reform, and some institutional change?
Wait, I cannot answer that one. Yes, I perhaps should send to the college the CARD Forum 10-point plan, so that in class you can only go online. You can, there are the social media, you have a lot of footbook and handbook and Facebook and all kinds of books. So you can Google the Caribbean 10-point plan. Seriously though, it's compensation, it would have to be monetary. And Judge Patrick Robinson, he was an international court, as you know, and he was very helpful to us about what the amount should be. So when you get that dollar, you will now decide, they cannot decide, the areas that you need to improve. You see, if they were to give us the areas to improve, it could be to their benefit. So we as a country, we have to make that observation. And I am grateful to you for that comment you raised, because there are those who feel that is money, and then when you get money, who is going to benefit? The TV and the production of money. So it's that the government, through our advisors, will decide the areas that we need to have that, especially those of us who suffered. And I spoke about repatriation of some of the objects which were removed from Jamaica. Thank you.
Another question? Yes, there is a hand. There's another one.
You look like a tutor. You're a tutor? So afraid it. Can't you do that bad, sir? Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Oh, yes.
My question is the movement of global power away from American globalism towards the formation of BRICS and other organizations in the global south? And other organizations in the global south. I wonder if we as Caribbean people will try to move towards Africa as our central station of power, or if we will try to organize ourselves still with the Western powers. Because that is what we are currently doing.
I just love your question. In the way I love your question, we do too much moving. We can't take any more moving. So we are going to stay here and create our own destiny and let them move towards. We ain't moving anywhere. Thank you for that observation. And that is the message that as a college, as a country, we need to know. We need to do our thing and they will come to us. Tired man. 6 weeks we spent on the gym. Thank you.
Okay. Good day, everyone. So my question
Is that true? That is true?
no. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you mentioned
You can't be wrong. Speak it out.
teachers were encouraged to teach students in your native language in the late 1990s.
Yes, the 99, yes.
So my point is that why is it the case that we're instructed otherwise when it was a practicum or
Perhaps where those persons are from, they have not seen that as yet. So take time with them. It takes a little time, you know. It takes a little time to drill down. But I would be hurt if I were to hear that any child was abused because of that. And you need to speak with Dr. Anderson as a follow and send it to me. I'll send it straight to Honorable Olivia Green, our Minister of Culture and Entertainment and Sport, also to our Minister of Education, to sort out that. Because that's where your creativity is. That's why a group called the Rastafarians, that's what they have to offer. But what they ought to offer, they couldn't put it in the language that you require. So as he said, you don't go after them. You don't go after them. Let them come to us. And in coming to us, reggae to the world. So you make that observation to Dr. Anderson, and we sort it out. By the way, which part are you from?
Manchester.
I thought you was going to tell me what that. Yes, that's what these students say. But when in my generation at college, I would be so shy that my dad did the test. And you're a student, sir. Don't remember what I just said. So take time with me. Yes, sir.
So I'm European.
You're what? You were born in England? Not because you were born in a place in Manchester called Old England. I just want to know if it's the one I'm from. You're from South London? Croydon? Where in Croydon? Seriously? No, where in South London? Did you live in Brixton? So you know Warnies? Ah, let's have the question then. He has a lot to tell us. Oh.
I'm a God Save the Queen. That's my national anthem.
Yes,
So
yes.
For the past, ever since I've been living in Jamaica, I have to stand for national anthem. Right? So I'm not want to sing it, even though I'm standing.
Yes, yes.
All that respect. So what do you think I go about?
Okay, I like that because what is pointing to is resolving an issue. Now, which country your parents came from? Where were your parents born? And your dad? Where his parents came from? Where your dad's parents came from?
Europe.
Where was he born?
He was born in Jamaica.
Oh, what do I say? Take time to take the money. We have to decolonize, you know. We have to take time.
As much as I've been living in Jamaica over the years,
Yes,
I don't consider myself fully Jamaican.
yes. I understand. Because yes, and you're quite right. You are quite right. And I love your loyalty and I love your respect. How long have you been in Jamaica now?
You still without me 9 years.
Oh. Okay.
But the thing is, right? It's going to be balance from next year because I've been in England for 10 years.
Yes, I understand. Okay. Now, don't be hard on yourself. That's the first advice I'm giving you. Do not be hard on yourself. There is a reason for everything on planet Earth. Your parents came from Africa. They came as enslaved. They had no choice. You now have a choice whether you want to associate with those who enslaved them or you want to be with those who are seeking a decolonization process. But we are taking time with you, and we respect you, we admire you, and we will work with you. But we are not forcing you into any decision.
Thank you very much.
And we appreciate you.
One more question? One final question? Anyone?
Who is asking? I notice that you ask me all the hard questions. You don't ask everybody the tutors to answer. See a lady, I'm sure she will ask the tutors one.
So what I'm asking is if decolonization occurred in regards to our educational system.
Would you repeat that question, please?
Has decolonization occurred in regards to our educational system? As in the way in which we are taught?
Decolonization, as I said, is a process.
Yes, so has the process started in regards
Of
to
course that started. When I came in here, they didn't sing the Bluebells of Scotland, for instance. I was so happy. They didn't. Oh! An alumna of this college would want to speak. And she's an authority on history. She teaches it. Miss Annette, give them a response, please. She's a sought after. You want to go?
What you're saying that primary history taught schools as a versus European-based subject. So that's part of the decolonization process.
Oh, God bless you.
And civics education.
Yes.
Other countries.
Well, I thank Miss Reed for that. Because in my time, I learned about King Henry VIII and his wives, his 6 wives, and he told them I won't belong. That was my history, European history. I didn't have anything as you are, and you're an expert at that. So thanks for that intervention, Miss Reed. We don't know how to finish. Just have one.
Thank you everyone for your questions. At this time, I'm going to invite Ms. Sasha Gates Garlic to come and give a presentation to our guests. Sasha Gates.
What you think? No, but before she does that, I have an announcement. Thank you very much for this hospitality here. I didn't want to come here and I have an announcement to make. These questions that were asked point to something, an area of need. A museum is where our common heritage is stored and we can go and look at the past. What happens now, for me to see a lot about my own past, apart from the museum at least of the Institute of Jamaica, where I worked, I have to get a visa, I have to take a plane, and go look at those objects from Carpenter's Mountain in southern Manchester. I'm putting out a charge. Dr. Anderson. And thank God you're not giving me a bad look. I want a museum to be built, the Museum of Manchester, on the grounds of this college. Don't panic. Don't panic and say, hey, where are we going to get the money from? It is easy. Let me tell you how. You are going to provide a space, just a little piece of land. All present and past students, I'm giving you the strategic objective of the college, will contribute to the cost of one dege brick. That's all you're going to do. One. Now, if you give more, you have your organizing committee, you do your block, it's one block. If you contribute more than the cost of the block, it will go towards steel and concrete. Remember that a museum is never built with board. Do you know why? There's a word which ends with E. And there's an I in it. Fire. So it's concrete. Listen carefully. I have not finished yet. I mean, I don't done it. So, it is going to be built. It doesn't have to be large. I said my task. But it's a beginning. And all your treasures, Manchester, your contribution to education, all your examples of it will be there so that when the visitors come, they can go into the museum. I know you will need a curator as a staff and a secretary. And I know Minister Grange will not say no. I know our Minister of Education will not say no. They will identify the cost, the payment of that person in it. And I hope you are not beating Dr. Anderson. The president says that is beating, but it's tough. It was beating, but it's tough. So in order to start the process, I have asked Mrs. Reed, the widow of Bishop Dr. the Honorable Alfred Reed, from Mile Gully, to come and make a presentation to this college for the start of the museum. You can't. You say, whoa, but it's not cash yet. Is what to put in the museum. Yes. Now, you do not, there's something you do not know, so let me just tell you up front. Jamaica's first recorded Christian martyr who was killed for the sake of the Christian gospel. The Christian gospel came to Jamaica in 1509, St. Anne's Bay. As usual, I was there in the morning when they came. And the Moravians in 1753, as I said, invited people from Europe to come and teach the enslaved. And there was a man who was at Grove Place, Linda's estate, who was teaching other slaves to say their prayers. And they said they were going to kill him. When he heard, he ran to a place called Comfort Hall. You know Comfort Hall? Yes, sir. And he heard that they were coming after him. He ran to Black River, where he was caught, his head decapitated. It was put on a pole, and they marched from Black River to Mile Gully Police Station. I don't know if the sign is still there, called Skull Point. Yes, sir. That's right. Well, that's the man, James Knight. And it was put there for them to see what would happen to other enslaved if they were caught teaching them to say their prayers. You can go to the National Library of Jamaica for further follow-up. But that, since God, you won't joke, and moves in a mysterious way, the house in Comfort Hall where he stayed, the spot is now an Anglican church. It is, I'm joking, it is now a church. And then, the descendant of James Knight, Bishop Alfred Reed, on his mother's side. So I've invited Mrs. Reed to come and make the presentation to Dr. Anderson. And the presentation that you are going to get, I should tell you, the college is getting a copy of, believe it or not, perhaps Jamaica's oldest will. And I always ask students, where there's a will, there is a way. No. Where there's a will, there's a relative. So, the will of James Rainswaite from Veer, he was born 1650, died 1699. His will that he wrote for the Veer. This is a copy, beautifully done up in that. And you're also getting in it to settle it once and for all. Those who speak about which is the oldest school in Jamaica. This settles it. Perhaps I should not disclose it. I should let you find out. Except to say, in the will 1699, James Rainswaite said there should be a school established. And because of fighting over dead left, that school was not established until 1855. Which is that school? Manchester High School. So all of this is in the document that Dr. Anderson is getting for his new museum. And this document was prepared by Mr. J.R.J.M. Lewin, the father of Dr. the Honorable Olive Lewin, because he was secretary for the Bear Trust. And in this you will see that Bishop Reed wrote to the National Library of Jamaica from Right Reverend Alfred Reed, former rector of Bear, and this was given the 24th of January 2012. You would not know that this is the National Library of Jamaica, so you have a copy. And so, when School Challenge asking questions, you have the facts. And the second thing that Mrs. Reed will present to Dr. Anderson is the crest of St. Peter's College. St. Peter's College was a theological college for Anglicans, and that is now the United Theological College of the West Indies. I didn't even know there was a crest. This must be the only crest in the world. And so the crest that was on his coat, notice I said coat, blazer, that Mrs. Reed will now present to Dr. Anderson. Final presentation. There's a man named W.F. Bailey I spoke about from Mr. Walterstone Post Office, and his wife, Anna Louise Bailey, was a post missus there in the 1890s. And that gentleman, W.F. Bailey, his daughter, the Honorable Amy Bailey. So we are giving to the museum the letter, the card of thanks that the family sent out on the death of Anna Louise Bailey. You're also getting some checks that Honorable Amy Bailey wrote and now up in the bank for the, when you get them from the bank. And one was to let out the lady business. One of the checks was to High-Low. You know what High-Low is? The name of a building. It's a supermarket. And then also to Montrose Printery. So I'll ask Miss Vaughn, because Miss Bailey, Honorable Amy Bailey, worshiped at St. Matthew's Church, where Reverend Vaughn grew up, and her parents sang on the choir. So it's fortuitous that you are here, representing Miss Bailey. Yes, so to Dr. So we do it. Thank you.
On behalf of Church Teachers College, I am pleased to present to you this token of appreciation for your presentation today. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and insights as you were there from 1835 to present, right? And for challenging us to pursue. What you told us. And for challenging us to pursue post-colonial excellence and innovation. So please accept this as an expression. Yes.
That's in the old. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
This time is Dr. Anderson. Thank you very much. When we not give back, it's time to come back next week. Thank you.
Stop measuring your genius with a borrowed yardstick. You're unreasonable. Stop trying to fit into old systems and start building the ones that actually look like us. Post-colonial excellence is our responsibility. Give thanks to our speaker and our choir. The official vote of thanks follows from Ms. Rihanna Reed, Year 4 Batch Rep. But from me to you, walk good, stay brilliant, and claim your future. Final round of applause for yourself.
Chairperson, Ms. Nadia Newman, Keynote Speaker, Mr. Stephen Crawford, Vice Chairman of the Board of Management, Reverend Anna Michael Elliott, Principal, Dr. Garth Anderson, Vice Principal of Academic Affairs, Dr. Janet Singh, Vice Principal of Administrative Affairs, Mrs. Samantha Bradley Morrison, special guests, members of the academic faculty, members of administrative staff, members of the ancillary staff, students, good morning.
Good morning.
As we come to the concluding moment of this year's annual Bishop Benjamin Vaughn Open Lecture, it is with great honor that I stand here to render the vote of thanks after such an insightful and enriching event. This open lecture is more than an academic tradition. It is a sacred observance. We gather not only to reflect, but to honor the remarkable legacy of Bishop Benjamin Vaughn, a visionary, scholar, and philanthropist whose foresight established generations of educators shaped by his vision. His commitment to education laid a strong foundation upon which this institution continues to build. Firstly, we extend sincere appreciation to Reverend Canon Michael Elliott for his opening prayer, which grounded us in reverence and reflection. To our moderator, Ms. Nadine Newman, thank you for your clarity, composure, and seamless guidance throughout today's proceedings. We are grateful to our principal, Dr. Garth Anderson, for his warm welcome and continued leadership in nurturing spaces for critical dialogue and development. Special thanks to the Vice Principal of Academic Affairs, Dr. Janet Singh, for her comprehensive overview of the lecture, which thoughtfully framed the scope and significance of today's engagement. To the CTC Choir and Band, we commend your sterling musical contributions. Your items reminded us that intellectual pursuit and artistic expression are complementary forces within holistic education. We extend thanks to Mr. Everton Clark for his introduction of the keynote speaker. In doing so, he not only presented our speaker, but solidified his credibility in a manner that deepened our anticipation and readiness to receive the message. To our distinguished keynote speaker, Mr. Stephen Crawford, I would not only like to express our heartfelt gratitude for your words and wisdom of inspiration, but to also thank you for opening our eyes to the importance of decolonizing the mind of future innovation, post-colonial excellence. Your lecture challenged us to think differently, to question our patterns of thinking, and to consider how can we move forward with confidence, creativity, and purpose. To Ms. Sasha K. Scarlett, thank you for presenting the token of appreciation to our keynote speaker as a symbol of our gratitude. Behind every successful event is a dedicated team working diligently. we extend profound appreciation to the Functions and Ceremonies Committee headed by Mr. Vaughan Clark, the technical team, the ushers, hospitality team, and all administrative and support staff whose meticulous planning and execution ensure the seamless flow of today's lecture. Your efforts are deeply valued and appreciated. To every attendee, faculty, students, special guests, and members of the wider community, thank you for your presence and engagement. Your participation reflects a shared commitment to learning and growth. As we depart, may the legacy of Bishop Benjamin Vaughan continue to inspire us to pursue excellence in education and to lead with vision and purpose. Once again, thank you all and have yourself a wonderful rest of the day.